Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome to an absolutely absurd Prime Classic. Today is absolutely everything. There's been the upsets, there's been the drama, there's also been the OpTic gaming situation that's very strange indeed, but also we'll dive into that in a few minutes. But also, of course, Los Angeles Thieves. They got 3'd in pretty well emphatic fashion by the New York Subliners. A disastrous conclusion to their day. What does this mean for the rest of their weekend? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, all that good stuff. Like, 12 matches going on today. Probably by the time this comes out, some of them still won't have finished because the delays, it's absolute vintage stuff to be honest. But yeah, we're going to dive into the majority of the series. I'll probably do the entire catch-up on all the kind of standings and stuff tomorrow because we might not get through it all, but I'm going to do my best. Firstly, there's some OpTic before the day even begins. Roster updates with iLLeY coming back into the team. There was some clip I believe that came out yesterday from the Minnesota Rokkr where some people thought they heard iLLeY in the background kind of speaking as if they were scrimming them. Now, it seems like that actually was the case. iLLeY came back into the team. Seems like he pushed it a bit too much though, because it turns out he had to kind of hold the controller in a slightly different way in order to make it not painful. He, I guess, was kind of pushing the team like, yeah, I want to play, I want to give it a go, I'm here with the team anyway. And then generally it almost looked like I was going to get blue balled again, right? Because that kind of happened to General back in Modern Warfare with the Huntsman team. He subs in briefly when they drop Gunless. Eventually he does never get the chance to play for them in a proper match because they bring in Prestinni and make that roster change. Seems like after all this time, General was going to get a chance to play in the team. It all goes sour when iLLeY comes back into the roster, right? So yes, they get their full roster going into their first series against the European Ultra Academy. We'll see how that went down in a second here, but yeah, Romo explained exactly why that was the case. Thought it was kind of cool actually, like the fact that iLLeY felt like he was well enough and felt like his stomach improved enough to actually play in this series. It was certainly a hopeful sign just because iLLeY, there was kind of talks about, okay, how quick is it going to take for his thumb to get better? Ramo said right here the antibiotics or whatever they've been giving him have been working very well and he's pretty much back ready to go and believes he was ready to play. Turns out that wasn't really the case. General was required later in the days we shall dive into. On the one hand, it's a good sign that iLLeY's thumb's improving maybe quicker than some people expected, but on the other hand, maybe he pushed it a bit too far and it could send him back a little bit here, right? We shall see how it goes. But yeah, OpTic, of course, they sub iLLeY back into the team. They have their official full-strength roster. They also came up with some new, finally, some new images, right? Some new actual photo shoots went down. This is something we've been looking for quite some time. You guys probably have noticed on the thumbnails and stuff. The images have been around for quite some time because for whatever reason, the ones they did at this season's Kickoff Classic are just terrible. They look awful on thumbnails. It's like they finally did some new images. So hopefully I can get my hands on these and start using them in the new thumbnails. What's kind of funny though, actually, is TacticalRab Academy points out that for some reason they weren't always centralized. So for example, iLLeY right here, they made him look crazy short because they've given him no neck at all and put his hair way down from the top of the thing. So they did this with a lot of players today, which made it look kind of funny on the screen a lot of the time. But yeah, of course, this was it during the game one. It was also good, once again, must be said, to have 4 streamers back. The multi-stream up. There is a website you go to, YouTube multi-stream, you put in the 4 streams and it lets you do this. Of course, so look, the first 2 games at this point were underway. Charlie and Delta still nowhere to be seen. We'll talk about Minnesota versus Rokkr in a second. And yes, definitely on the production front, today it left something to be desired, as I like to say at the moment. It's like, yeah, it was far from ideal, but I still was kind of good to have the old vibes back. There were so many games on today, so much to just dive into, of course. Game 1, of course, well, one of the big ones was OpTic versus the European Ultra Academy. Game 1, I believe they were down 60, 70 points. They bring a massive comeback. They win this one. The guys turn up. Rafi, I believe, at one point was 7-7, and then he was 8-22. So, bit of a bad turn for them. Also in the Search and Destroy, this really was, to me, the kind of kicker moment of this. Even though they went on to win this map, the Toronto Ultra guys, or the European Academy, Furious gets 2 kills, shoots bodies, and then, picks up the final piece, I'm pretty sure, as well, right here, to finish off the 3-piece, I guess. And, you're shooting bodies all over the place. Shooting Scump Spot like that, is that going to end well? They end up going up 3-1 here before losing 4 rounds in a row or something. They win the round, or they win the game anyway, but yeah, not enough for them to win the series. And of course, Scump goes massive in the next few maps. That is the thing. Maybe lesson learned to a degree. When you're going to shoot Scump Spot, yes, you might win the map, but then Scump's going to absolutely dominate you the next couple of maps and win this series. So didn't work out too well for them at the end of the day. OpTic will end up winning this one. They take the series 3-1, but still, the fact that the Ultra Academy were able to take a Search and Destroy off OpTic was pretty impressive. Certainly, some upsets from the amateur teams tried to come through. Certainly, a lot of these teams got very close indeed to kind of dealing with the top dogs, even as Envoy says, whoever shoots Scum Spot next, I'm running on stage like I'm Will Smith. Scum definitely turned up pretty big time. These were the final series stats. Insane, actually. OpTic outslayed them dramatically, and still didn't win the series particularly convincingly. I mean, look at this. Plus 37 for Dashi, plus 23, outslaying by plus 88 as a team, and still, they only won the series 3-1. Wasn't super comfortable. So interesting one, but of course, it was their full-strength roster, and Illy kind of thought after this series, he might have pushed it a little bit too far, as we shall see here in a second. The other series that was going on at the same time here on Alpha Stream was FaZe versus Surge. Surge dominated the Desert Sea Search and Destroy 6-0. They completely wiped the floor with him, but FaZe won all the other maps and won this series 3-1. So pretty interesting, very close forward affair, especially in the Berlin control. Got want to see some Berlin control. Not sold on it quite as of yet. I mean, Berlin to watch, I don't think is great anyway. It probably does play better. Like, there is more chance to win offenses. Like, there's more chance to go up 2-0, stuff like this, than maybe there is on other maps. So I think it's better. It's good to have it in the rotation at the very least. Wouldn't say it's fantastic, though. It's not like we've got a London Docks or whatever making its glorious return. But yeah, FaZe, they beat Seattle Surge. They go through. Mutineers then, they win what they described as a 50-minute hardpoint because it got restarted at least like 4 or 5 times. Like, I had no idea what was going on there with the Charlie stream. It was absolutely outrageous. They eventually get over line and win this map 1 against a Minnesota Rokkr. They also win both hardpoints in this series again. So Minnesota, despite their change, Havoc has a pretty tough map 1, and still they're losing both hardpoints in this series, and they're losing the game 1 right. So yeah, Mutineers are solid, but like, yeah, not a good start for them. Of course, they will play OpTic tomorrow. We'll see kind of the results here as kind of round up the first matchups. 3-1s all across the board. I mean, look, I always talk about these 3-1 fashions, and here it comes. Toronto took down StrikeX in the meantime. They won a search and destroy. The Awakening and the boys, of course, took down the Minnesota Rokkr, and these other series that we have indeed looked at. The second round of matches, though, this was really where it got kind of crazy to me, was the Subliners versus LA Thieves one. I was really looking forward to this one. All those Group C games are crazy. And game 1, despite an early kind of edge for Los Angeles Thieves, Kismet had a pretty tough go, but Paulex had a monster series, as did Hydra, to be honest. And honestly, 250, 131 here on Bacage. That was a stomping, to be honest. Kenny goes 14 in 30 game 1. He did not have the greatest time on the SMG today. Like, at YYing all over the shop, it was not a pretty sight, let's be honest. It was like Octane was running it. Like, yeah, definitely some of the early signs are that this might not be the solution here for Los Angeles Thieves. Kenny goes on to say here in a second that, yeah, their scrims, it was working fine. But, like, scrims isn't matches, right? And a big match like this against the Subliners, like, in crucially to win some map strikers, tiebreakers, and all that type of stuff could be very important when we come down to tomorrow, that you can't just get demolished right here. And Kenny pretty much got demolished this series. Game 2 as well, would you believe it? Kenny, I believe this game goes 9-9. But, yeah, when I saw this as 5-0, I was like, okay, yeah, well, wow, that's kind of crazy. Like, they lose the map 1 the way they did, like, Los Angeles Thieves, they bounce back in search and destroy. What's going on, right? Usually they're a good hardpoint team, bad search and destroy team. And then round by round, New York started to bring this one back. And we almost saw a full sale slightly early on this year, I believe, on Bacage. And that eventually failed. I think it went 5-4 or something. And then they closed it out. But yeah, here we go. Los Angeles Thieves, rounds up by round, New York starts to bring this one back. And Los Angeles Thieves, the complete collapse comes through. This round, for example, right here from Kismet pops a 3-piece to get them to round 11. And we know what Los Angeles Thieves like to do in round 11 here on Tuscan. Like, they will just throw it away somehow. So honestly, like, incredible. I know that Octane afterwards was kind of like smiling just because, like, you know, just kind of unbelievable situation, right? It's kind of a mind-blown smile. But at the same time, this is just something you absolutely cannot allow to happen. And as soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, wow, this squad is exactly the same, right, as the previous squads. That's what we always used to say. Their closing ability, their search and destroy ability was not there at all. And of course, the Subliners, their previous iteration, couldn't really close out series. Last time they went up 2-0 against Thieves at Major 2, they fell short in the series. This time, though, they closed it out. And yeah, Los Angeles Thieves in around 11, just letting absolutely everyone pass. They're not going to try and stop you at all, just absolutely roaming through, win the round 11. Like, absolutely incredible scenes. And Jacob, of course, this is like the second full sale ever. A 0-5 comeback to a 6-5. The second one we have ever seen in the CDL era. We saw it with Minnesota Rokkr a few years ago, back in Modern Warfare, and now we've seen it again, right? The original was at Full Sail University back in 2013, Complexity versus OpTic, when Jacob was, I believe, on that OpTic team, and I was the coach of Los Angeles Thieves, and got reverse swept again. Not saying he's necessarily a common denominator, but still just a factual statement, to be honest, that I thought was rather interesting. And this also just to mention in the control, because of course, New York go on to win this one, but what is this spawn here from Kismet? There were so many dodgy moments today, like, well, it's not exactly Kismet's fault, right? But look at this, poor lad spawns right in front of him. How is that even possible? Like, you just gotta love Call of Duty Vanguard, baby. But yes, New York closed this series out 3-0. Unfortunate circumstances for Los Angeles Thieves in that situation, but getting 3-0'd in this way, especially with a 0-5 comeback in game 2, is no doubt absolutely unacceptable. As Crim says, you know, finally beat these guys. Feels good coming for Souls and Wigs this weekend. So good to see that New York are back in business. But Los Angeles Thieves, after making this role change, certainly, at least on the surface evidence, does not seem to have worked out relatively well. And if they can't get through this group, like, serious questions are going to be raised. As Kenny says, another terrible series for me. Definitely not even close to showing what scrims have been looking like. But of course, well, as we say, scrims can be rather different to games. This was the post-match scoreboard as well. You can see most of the guys, Envoy was going to do it in his best. Paulex, Hydra have great series. But yeah, here's Kenny with a .61, 40 and 66. Did not seem comfortable really on the SMG in this series, which is not a particularly good sign for their hopes going forwards. Speaking of that, right, that wasn't just the only drama of the day. We had this stuff. It was a Boston Breach versus the Paris Legion, and I believe it was actually 1-1 between Paris and Boston going into game 3. They had a rather good advantage, I believe, round 5 Gavuto, they had like a 23-20 advantage. Temp, I think, had streaks, and then somehow someone logged into Temp's CDL account. Despite, I'm pretty sure, Theory saying, the coach of the Paris Legion, they'd done everything they could to try and prevent this stuff from happening. Someone managed to log into Temp's account and like access his stuff. Therefore, he got lagged out, and by the time he got back in, he of course didn't have his streak. Like they eventually replayed the rounds, but like you know, eventually they lost it, right? And they lost the game 4 as well. So simply unbelievable. Seeing as Theory kind of explains the last round, 20 seconds left, Gav control, spawn trapping their whole team with a streak. We lag out and lose the map. Whoever has a cursoness, much appreciated, right? And went on to say this, I thought it was kind of, well, dramatic, really. Well, according to the league rep, someone lagging out with a streak and not getting it back on replay hasn't been an issue in COD for 10 years, and it's our fault because we haven't written them an email. So no idea what's going on here, what really the communication was. There was also this follow-up as well from Coach Theory. He says, also to give clarity, we were told to log off all practice PCs in the venue when we got up to our match. I personally logged out of all our accounts. CDL rep Scotty actually names the guy individually, then went to confirm that I did that, and somehow someone logging into one of our players' accounts mid-matches on us. It's our fault, apparently, according to the CDL. Spinner Spence here says from the league, regardless of the situation, you should be throwing people's names out on social media like this. He eventually gets rid of it and goes a different direction. But yeah, wow, honestly, crazy stuff. This also from Los Angeles Guerrillas. They were up 2-0 at this point, up against their, well, the Toronto Ultra Academy North America, the 11 Search and Destroy win streak. That would certainly get tested, though, in the final match of the day, or the final map of this series, because Tactical Scrappy decided to absolutely go off on the main stage on this game 3 and initiate an incredible reverse sweep that they have just pulled off. I've literally just seen it finish on the side screen here. Like, they won this game. Like, I mean, honestly, Tactical Scrappy, I believe he went like 41 in 22 or something. Then on the game 4, he took over that one as well. Goes all the way to a game 5, round 11 after they also win the Berlin hardpoint in game 4. Scrappy goes massive in the final game. And again, Los Angeles Guerrillas go down. Their 11 Search and Destroy win streak comes to an end to an Academy team, right? To the amateur squad that comes in, defeating the reigning champions. Unbelievable turn of events here on the Thursday. Like, genuinely incredible stuff we have just witnessed. Another series to come after this on the stream that I'm definitely going to go to bed for. But like, I mean, yeah, just incredible scenes. The implications of this one for the group and the other groups as well are absolutely immense that we will certainly dive into tomorrow morning as well. But still, we've got to cover the OpTic versus Florida series because General officially is subbing in again for iLLeY. There was the further discussion that comes out here from General, really, or from, well, from iLLeY actually, and Rabo outside, kind of explaining the issue with iLLeY's thumb and the fact that it wasn't really ideal. He had to hold his controller in a slightly different way to what he was used to. Wasn't great for him, and therefore, like, it wasn't really cutting it, to be honest, in the first game they played, and he's kind of got this thing on his thumb as well. So he decided, okay, General's going to come in, pretty last minute change, going to be tough against a pretty well-rounded team like Florida as they are right now. And it was a pretty quick series, right? The 3-0, Florida win the game 1, relatively close. Game 2 probably should have been closer than it was, just because, I mean, this round, honestly, that OpTic threw, I don't know what they're really playing at here, to be honest. It always felt like they'd kind of just given up on the series, or not necessarily given up, but yeah, just the way this round went was not ideal at all. Skies finds himself in a 1 versus 3. The first kill was kind of nice, somewhat unlucky, to be honest, the way that, you know, kind of Scump's pushing in here, gets taken down, and then Shotty just goes, well, not necessarily rogue, he's chasing the kill, but didn't really work out in his favor there. 1 versus 3. Like, Shotty had some pretty terrible maps actually here as well. It just felt like without iLLeY on the team and maybe the communication, the leadership, all that other type of stuff, they weren't really as comfortable as they might have otherwise been, and they looked in the first series of the day they played, to be honest, and against a pretty, you know, solid improving team like Florida, that's not really going to cut it. They lose the game 2, they lose the game 3 as well, the Berlin control pretty comfortably also, and yeah, 3-0 victory for them, and of course that's pretty big, as I say, in terms of seeding all this type of stuff. So obviously you're going to have to beat the Minnesota Rokkr tomorrow, I'm pretty sure, if they want to get out of that group, especially with the map counts as they are sitting right now. Vivid says GG's OpTic 1-3-0, sucks we didn't get to play with the full lineup, and Scump goes on to say this: tough circumstances, but got to come with the fire tomorrow. So that's the thing, if they can't beat Havoc and the boys over at the Minnesota Rokkr, they probably will be going out in the group stages. So we're going to leave it there for the day. I'm pretty sure there's more games going on some other streams right now. We're going to talk about how everything kind of concludes tomorrow morning, but very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button, tells you YouTube gods, this is a good video, and as like you should see it as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.